from the Louisiana Department of Justice. She is Special Projects Representative Monica Taylor. Good morning, Miss Monica. Welcome to Keel. Thank you for taking time for us.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for having me on. Good morning.
We had a conversation not too long ago with Caddo Parish DA James Stewart. And Mr. James, right at the beginning of the quarantine, of the shutdown, of the lockdown, and Mr. James said there was a very substantial increase in domestic violence. Well, what he said was that right now in Caddo Parish, 4 out of 10 arrests were for domestic violence. Are you seeing that kind of uptick all over the state?
So, it's interesting because we only have anecdotal information right now. We don't have hard data. And in some places we are seeing the uptick. What we're seeing is that we're seeing more bystanders and neighbors calling. And in some places we're seeing less victims calling because they don't have a way to actually get away from their perpetrator at this point in time. They may be, using the stay-at-home order, they're there together and don't have the ability to literally get away from their perpetrator. So the calls that we are seeing, that folks are seeing to the hotlines and to police, are a lot more intense and extreme.
See, pardon me, that was going to be my next question was going to be, and I want to kind of tee it up for you. And I don't mean it to be insensitive, but are we finding that during this quarantine is the degree of domestic violence greater in that there is more extreme violence?
Yeah, we are seeing some of that. There was the case recently in Baton Rouge where the gentleman killed the stepfather of his fiancée, and then a couple of days later is when he shot 2 police officers, killing one, wounding the other. So we are seeing more extreme cases. And sort of the reason for that, I would say it's twofold. One, you have more stress, being at home, kids out of school, working from home. So your perpetrator is having more stress on them, but there's also more stress on the victim as well. The victim doesn't have any of the outlets that they normally have to be able to go home. Go to work and see friends and coworkers and that sort of thing. And then, you at this time you have financial stress and those types of things. And so we are seeing some more extreme things. One of the other things that does count towards the extreme nature of it is victims are calling in less because they don't know if shelters are open. They, they may have lost their job, and so they don't have the financial means to leave. So there's a lot of things at play, and obviously the stay-at-home order makes a lot of things more difficult, but especially this.
But we're seeing cases across the state, across the country, right here in Louisiana, parishes, municipalities, whatever, where law enforcement seems to be, not only releasing prisoners early, but reticent to take new ones in because of the threat of infection. Are there cases that you're aware of where domestic violence perpetrators are just being turned loose right away?
I have not heard of any specific cases, but you bring up a very good point because victim safety is directly linked to officer safety. And Attorney General Jeff Landry was a police officer at one point in his career, and he understands how dangerous domestic violence calls can be for law enforcement. It's one of the 2 most dangerous calls that a law enforcement agent can go on.
Let me ask you this, Monica, because I've done this, had helped a long time for women to get protective orders, to get them out of a dangerous situation. With courts closed, how are we doing in terms of getting these women the legal help they may need to sever the ties with the person
and
who may be abusing
them? And the physical protection, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there are still some things that are being heard, even though courts are technically closed. There's some things that they are doing, and a lot of that is being done through through teleconferences. And I'll tell you this, up in Shreveport, you guys have the Bozer Caddo Family Justice Center, and the folks out there do a really great job. And they have, months ago, maybe even a year ago now, set up a teleconference center so that victims who are getting a protective order actually would not have to go to court and be in the same room as their perpetrator, that they could go to the Family Justice Center and do it from there. And Jeff Landry and myself and several other people, we did a tour there and saw that facility. So we are seeing some of that being done. So some of those things are still active and being done. You can still get a protective order. The problem is that in these unprecedented times, it's a little bit more difficult to get one. As you know, Erin, it's already difficult to get one, so now it's even more difficult to get one.
Lastly, when this is all over, I'm a little bit reticent to ask you this, but when this is all over, do you anticipate there will be a lot of people who realize, gosh, I was stuck in the house with this idiot for 2 months. This was an abusive person. I want out of this relationship. Do you think this closeness that we've had to endure may ultimately lead to more cases down the road that we don't realize yet?
I think, I have spoken to several people who, like people at Project Celebration, they are in Shreveport, people with the Domestic Violence Coalition. They are all really gearing up in case that happens. I've spoken to several law enforcement agents because it's one of the directives of Attorney General Jeff Landry that we keep law enforcement on how to respond to these calls. So, everybody is sort of trying to gear up and prepare for that because we do think that's going to happen. Now, obviously, we have no idea if that's actually going to happen because this is unprecedented times, like I said earlier, but I think it's a very good chance that we are going to see that, yes.